Introduction. Oh, this meeting's being recorded. Everybody straighten up. Sit up straight, everybody. There we go. That's nice. All right. So our speaker today, as I said, probably needs no introduction. She has been a part of our club for a little more than a year now, 2 years. I know you just had the anniversary. So Suzanne Perry is here, and her topic today, she says, is going to change our lives. It's cryptocurrency. So Suzanne, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. Yeah, very much enjoy being part of the club. Let's see, I'm going to share my screen right now with you. There we go. Everybody see that?
Yes, that's good. Yep, we're good.
Yes.
We're good to go. Yep.
Good. Okay. Here we go. I've talked to you before, but I'm going to tell you again what I do for a living. I have a company called Excellent Point, and I do what's called business storytelling in big companies. And I do that mostly for these days for CVS Health, which merged with Aetna, so CVS Pharmacy. And I help them with their change management to do with the vaccinate, taking out a role in vaccinating America, which is a big task and change for them, and it requires communicating to a lot of employees, 40,000 or so, I think, around the country. And then I also work for, let's see, these days, Panera Bread, and mostly I worked for Fidelity Investments when I first started my company about 7 or 8 years ago. So I'm a business strategist, a writer and editor, a visual storyteller. And, my goal always is just to communicate ideas in a way that people can understand. And so I hope I'm going to help you with that today, talking about cryptocurrency. So if you watch MSNBC like I do, you'll see that these days, about 50% of the news on that channel has to do with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, which may be frustrating to a lot of people because they didn't get the memo. It's complicated. So I'm going to try to give you the broad strokes on it. And the world is just changing so fast. I think that everybody just wants the cliff notes, which I'm going to try to give you today. And let's see. Let's start first with like a show of hands, or if people could chime in. Who owns some cryptocurrency now, some Bitcoin? Or have kids that are dabbling in it, or any takers on that?
My granddaughter is doing this.
Yeah. Too bad Jeff's not here. I wonder what's happening. I wonder what's happening with that, with his company, and people probably calling with questions all the time. Well, let's just start with, what I'm not going to start right now with what is cryptocurrency. I'm going to build up to it by saying first, what is money, or what is currency? So currency is an exchange medium with an understood value. So historically, it used to be something with actual value, like animal pelts or wampum, or spices like salt, or but now we just use something that is understood value, or for a common market, and we use, of course, paper money. But what else is money? So I shouldn't say almost nobody, but about 50% of the time or more that you're paying for something, you're not paying with green money, you're paying with something else. So what is money? Is a check money? No, a check is an IOU, to a promise to pay later. What about a credit card? Is that money? It's not. It's just a better IOU. So, but these other things, this PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, if you use any of those, maybe you do, maybe you don't. These are money because they are direct account to account. So say I sign up for PayPal, and maybe you have not, but I'll just explain that briefly because I hope that you will. So PayPal is like having a debit card in your cell phone. So you sign up on PayPal, which is a piece of cake. You know, you can do it in 5 minutes. You put in your bank account information. And of course that's secure. Of course that's secure. If it wasn't secure, just one time, an entire company like PayPal would be defunct. So you can trust that they spend plenty of money on security to make sure that your bank account information is secure in there. So you put in your bank account information and say like Randy Evans puts in his bank account information. And then I can send Randy money by just a message in his cell phone from PayPal that says, Suzanne Perry would like to send you money. And so Randy says, okay, I accept that. And it says, where would you like to direct it? And so he says, I'd like to direct that to my own bank account. Now, if there's no money in my bank account, or if Randy doesn't accept it, the transaction doesn't happen. But as long as there's money in my account and Randy accepts it, it does happen. And then that way, it really is money because it's direct account to account. So we don't have to wait to see later if it's going to clear or not. It can't happen unless it will clear. So I have some notes here, and it's complicated because I have to read them from my cell phone, but they're very valuable. So I don't want to forget. So anybody can use PayPal, Venmo, or Zelle, but what you need to do that is a bank account. So not everybody can use it. In maybe your child can't use it because they don't have a bank account yet. Now, when you have a bank account, you have information with your bank that allows them to track your transactions, right? To give you fees. They could be hacked. You could be hacked. So there's risks. You know, there's risks using currency, and there's always been risks using currency. Cash is a risk. Somebody could steal your cash. There's no trackable way to get it back. Every single way that you can spend money. But I'm saying this because there's security concerns about cryptocurrency, but I want to explain that with every single currency in the history of man, there are security concerns. Anytime somebody's got a pile of money, there's a lot of smart people who are trying to get to it for free. So that's true about cryptocurrency. That's true about animal pelts, you know. Oh, so I want to say that when you share your information with the bank or with other companies, they, of course, they're tracking on fees. Somehow they're going to get paid for their service. They're also maybe using your account information to share with the tax man. You might have your wages garnished if you owe somebody money. They might use it to market to you, to sell to robocallers, to send you promotional material. And not everybody likes that. In fact, you know, nobody likes that. So anyway, so let's talk about trading money. So people already trade money. We probably are not trading money, but a lot of people trade money. It's called foreign exchange. And, you know, just today, for instance, $100 US equals about 650 yuan. And now that's not yen, it's yuan, and yen is Japanese, yuan is Chinese, but you should know that word yuan because as you probably know, China is coming up fast as the second leading economy in the world, perhaps the first leading economy in the world. And we are in close competition with China. It's discussed constantly. Anyway, you might think about foreign exchange, though, anytime you travel to a foreign country and walked up to a Thomas Cook booth and traded your French francs for US dollars, coming or going, and you're watching the exchange rate and saying, oh, we did so well on the way coming, and this, you know, not so great on the way back. So you know that fluctuates. You know, currency to currency. then huge markets like the FX, the foreign exchange market on Wall Street, they're trading, banking on something going up or down the same way that people trade and make money on stocks. And one more thing I want to tell you about that. I forget. Hang on a minute. Here we go. Let's talk about this instead. Now this time I'm going to try to stick with my notes. So I'm going to put some parameters around currency. So in order for currency to work, a few things have to be true. First of all, it has to have a recognized and accepted value. So paper money itself has no intrinsic value, but it represents value we agree on to be true. So if a $100 bill, I agree, you agree, the bank agrees, the storekeep agrees. So we all agree that that has a value of $100. Of course, if you and I were on a deserted island, and I had a $100 bill and you had nothing, you would have no interest in getting my $100 bill because it can't feed you, it can't do anything on its own. It just has to have a value in a market, which it does. Anyway, the money itself has to be sustainable, meaning that its value is lasting and it's stable. So it's not changing day to day. Like today, it's not worth 90, the $100 bill. No, today it's not worth 90. Tomorrow it's worth 110. It's just worth $100, and everybody agrees to that. And then the quantity has to be limited, so that I can't just walk into a field and get more $100 bills, or everybody would just do that. So somebody has to be holding the limitation on money, or else it's worthless. Now in our country, it's the Federal Reserve that does that job. So the Federal Reserve is our central banking system. And they make decisions about our nation's money supply based on, a number of economic factors. And the Fed chair right now, the new one, is Jerome Powell. They also control interest rates and banking regulations, things like that. And the U.S. Treasury is like, the U.S. Treasury, on the other hand, is like the accounting office for the government. And the new boss is Janet Yellen. So for most of U.S. history, and our country and almost every country adhered to the gold standard, meaning that every single dollar that was printed was backed up by the same amount in gold that sat someplace. So for us, it's at Fort Knox. Kids today probably don't even know what Fort Knox is, nothing but a museum. But in 1971, the Nixon administration it was a slow crawl. I mean, it was happening toward this, but the Nixon administration decoupled gold from currency. And so that left the Federal Reserve issuing something that's called fiat money. Now that's not an acronym, it's just called fiat, F-I-A-T money. And that means that it's non-commodity backed, federally issued money. So we compare fiat money to cryptocurrency frequently because those things are the competition is the current money, fiat money, and cryptocurrency, which is in effect new money. I guess I don't have to tell you that in March of last year, the coronavirus outbreak happened in the entire world. And I want to tell you about what that did to our stock market. So in a fear of all the catastrophes that would domino from a pandemic, the market crashed. It was the second biggest crash the stock market ever realized after Black Monday. That was in 1987. So the market dropped 3,000 points or 13%. But I want to put that in perspective. So in 1987, the market drop brought us to a number of 1740. That was the market close on that day of Black Monday. So the market close on the drop in 2020 was 20,188 or 13, I think 11 and a half times larger the stock market was than it was in 1987. So the stock market has taken a bigger and bigger role in our economics, in our Federal Reserve decisions. Anyway, I don't want you to feel too terrible about what happened with the stock market, because 4 days later, it experienced the fourth biggest gain of all times. And so the net was only about a drop of 2%. So the pandemic, in effect, did not hurt the stock market. In fact, maybe frustrating to some to see that the stock market has broken records continuously throughout the pandemic, sometimes daily, almost weekly. The stock market has never been higher, but it did very much change currency. So let's talk about what happened with the stimulus package. So the first stimulus package came under the Republican administration, and it was, late before Trump left office. He passed this $2 trillion thing. Now, when you think about the stimulus package, you're probably thinking about the 30% or so of the stimulus package that went out to American citizens in checks. So, but there was a much bigger stimulus package. Another 2/3 of that went to these things you can see here: big business, small business, local and state governments, and onto public services and stuff. So just to put 2 trillion though into perspective, I can't see my own slides because I can see people instead. Okay, here we go. So I want you to know that a trillion is 1,000 billion. And a billion is 1,000 million. Now, I know when people talk about these big numbers like trillion, it's just so mind-blowing that the only way to really understand it is to put it in perspective. So I'm going to try to do that by telling you that our GDP, our gross domestic product, which is what countries are based on in size, was 21 trillion. Only, I should say only, because we're comparing 2 trillion to 21 trillion. Well, anyway, so this would be an enormous change by dropping this much money into a $21 trillion economy. But stand by, not to be outdone, Biden came into office and did the same thing. So 2 trillion more stimulus is dropped into the economy. And so now we've added $4 trillion to a $21 trillion economy, or else we could call that about 4 GDPs of Mexico we dropped into our economy. So how do we do something like that? Who knows? But let me, before you panic about all the bad things, that is a lot of really bad things may have and still could happen without the support of these stimuli. So like, for instance, the entire airline industry might collapse, the entire mortgage industry might collapse. And if you remember when when AIG and Lehman Brothers went under because of the mortgage crisis, and the car, remember where the automobile crisis needed an injection. When those things go down, you have to think about the domino effect of all of the employees and all of the infrastructure and all of the, say, for instance, what if the airline industry did collapse without the help of the government, which it would right now, nobody traveling in the pandemic. So that would mean we wouldn't have airplanes anymore. So that can't happen. So, there's bad things in both ways, and there's a lot of smart people trying to figure out, how to hold up the economy until it can get on its own again. But let me talk about the money. So since 1960, I'm showing you this chart to put into perspective that if you'll see where the red balloon is, where we are, about a quarter of all of the money in motion right now has been added last year. Now, since 1960, a quarter of all of the money that's in the economy right now was added last year. Okay, so that's going to change a lot of things. What it would certainly indicate is inflation is going to have to happen. I mean, the Federal Reserve, in effect, made money grow on trees, you know, they just made it appear. But there's going to be a lot of new new sorts of ways that the Federal Reserve is going to have to deal with things to prevent us from dropping into inflation because we increased the currency in such a way. Now, the pandemic has never happened before. These kind of stimulus have never happened before. The market has never been this high before. There's a lot of things that are different. So we can't assume that we're going to go into inflation just because we have in the past. Nothing is the same. So there's a lot of people, you know, holding up a lot, or putting up, you know, moving a lot of pots around the stove to make sure that that everything stays in check. Well, anyway, let's talk about how that stimulus was spent in terms of cryptocurrency. So I'm just going to move I can just read this right off this thing. Okay, so about $40 billion of the stimulus checks, $40 billion of stimulus that was distributed was invested into Bitcoin and stocks. Now that's not, I mean, it goes to show you that the people who got the stimulus checks did not need it, so they invested it. But that's not bad news. They in fact were underinvested. This generation was grossly underinvested. So they didn't need the money. Good for them. 40 billion of it went into an investment, and who knows if the government is going to be there to take care of them. I think, you know, they're catching on to that, and there's a lot of communication to that generation to say, you better do something. A lot of companies are not covering that kind of 401k the way they did with probably our, you know, what we were used to at work. That's not as common anymore. And pensions, forget it. Nobody has that. So anyway, of those people who are active investors, 60% of them put their money into crypto instead of stocks. So think about that. If you're an investor, which I assume everybody is who's watching this, 60% of them went into cryptocurrency. Did you? So about just to show you how new cryptocurrency and crypto thinking is, only about 1.3% of adults in the world own cryptocurrency. And let me just see my stat up here. Of US adults that own cryptocurrency, I just wanted to tell you that it's mostly Bitcoin. So when you can almost use them interchangeably because 50% of cryptocurrency is Bitcoin. And I'll talk about what the other 50% is. So here's what a Bitcoin would look like. But first, I want to tell you what cryptocurrency is. Cryptocurrency is digital money. End of sentence. Okay, cryptocurrency is digital money. So other things are digital money too, like PayPal and Venmo, but cryptocurrency is encrypted digital money. So here are the biggest players in the market. 50% of it, I said, is Bitcoin. A single Bitcoin is worth about 37,000 today, but it has been as high as 60,000. And that, if I tell you, that was like a month ago, 2 months ago. It's very volatile. But there's only 21 million Bitcoins issued ever. And that will never change. So when I say in order for currency to be effective, it has to be limited. Bitcoin is limited to 21 million coins. So the value of those coins is going to go up and down, but the number of those coins will never change. So they could never say, I should say, there is no never. Who knows what would happen if Bitcoin became centralized by government or banks, but right now it's not. I'm going to talk about that. But right now, and hopefully forever, there's 21 million coins. So these other ones, I'll just tell you, Ethereum, the one that's teal, a lot of people think that Ethereum will end up being the winning cryptocurrency for a number of reasons. It is probably built better to use, and that is complicated why, but I'll just tell you that some people believe that that's better in case you're thinking about investing. Dash, almost nobody's talking about these days, but it is still one of the biggest. And then Litecoin and Ripple, which a lot of people are talking about. You can see that, and this was true about Bitcoin too. Ripple right now is only $1 for a coin, but there's 100 billion coins that will be issued. So you might get into Ripple by buying 10 of them, and then hopefully they'll increase in value. I'm gonna, tell you how that works. Okay, you're gonna have to understand a few of these words, but I'll tell you, you can learn them now and then you can forget them because you'll never need to probably know this. Cryptography just means secret code. So when cryptocurrency is digital, your name or any personal information is not attached to it in any way. It's just a long, complicated code that is attached to the money. So I send that code to Randy Evans. He sends it back to me. There's no trackable name or address, or we didn't have to enter our information to get that. It's the code is the coin. So I wanted to say too, those coins are printed, those coins that you saw on the screen prior, those are printed just for like novelty. There are no coins. They're digital, but they do print a few coins just to put their logo on. But even those very coins are accounted for. So inside those coins, there's a chip that has the code that is the coin. So if you can understand that, you're not going to have a handful of Bitcoin. So anyway, let's talk about the importance of decentralization. So cryptocurrency, the beauty of cryptocurrency is, well, a number of things. But decentralization is probably the main element. So there is no bank, there is no government, it's peer-to-peer. So let me see at what point by my notes do I tell you how it was born. Sorry for my disorganization. I'm suffering because I can't see my own notes. So I'm going to read this instead. Okay, so decentralization means there's no.
Suzanne, sorry. It's 8:17, just so you know. I want you to be able to have time for questions.
Oh, I do want to have time for questions. So that's because I got away from my notes, which was my fear that if I ever did that I would just go on and on. Okay, so so no governing body, no banks, no institutions. And then blockchain is how the processing of these transactions happen, and they don't happen at any particular place. They happen by shared computers all over the world. So your very computer, you could use your memory, your available memory to process transactions, and that is called Bitcoin mining. Now you might do that with one computer, you might do that with thousands of computers, but it's happening all over the world, and it's the reason why you can't hack or change transactions in cryptocurrency is you would have to in fact change every computer in the world, and that's how it happens, and that's how we handle peer-to-peer processing of these transactions, which are blind and numbers only, so you would never share, for instance, your information. So I want to tell you how it was born. So a person or people who went by the name Satoshi Nakamoto released a white paper, which is your business paper that's sort of like a proof, released a white paper onto the internet explaining how this decentralized cryptocurrency would work. And then it fell into all of the right hands over time since 2009, which was only 12 years ago. And in the beginning, Bitcoin had almost no value, so 0.0001 or something. And at that time, if you recall, and I did, I was 10,000 Bitcoins were used to purchase 2 Papa John's pizzas, which is almost a joke because they were saying, oh, this stuff is so valueless that I'm just going to show that by giving $10,000 for those pizzas. So those pizzas today at 10,000 Bitcoin would be worth about a half a billion dollars, just to show you. And this is why people invest in Bitcoin. I want to talk about that. So this will do the whole thing, and then we can have questions. So why does anyone use, why would anyone want cryptocurrency? Well, first of all, it's fast. It's faster than bank transactions. It's instant, in fact. So, and nothing can bounce because you can't send money unless you have the money, and that is clear that moment. So there's no delay in getting payment. It's cheap. There's a very tiny, or no, because there's bit mining, somebody's got to get paid to do this processing. It's very little, but there's a little bit of fees, but not much. And there's no exchange fees between countries because we all are working on the same, all over the world, working on the same cryptocurrency. So, and there's no charge to send in tiny increments. So you have to extrapolate, because there's no fees. Me sending Carlin $1 million and me sending Carlin 10 cents is the same to Bitcoin, or the same to cryptocurrency, because there's no fees. Now, since I can send in any increment, that means maybe cable TV will disappear in the way that we're used to it, and we'll just pay 5 cents to watch this show. I'll pay 3 cents to listen to this song, and all I have to do is click my cryptocurrency account to that cryptocurrency account, and it would just exchange the value, and my money might go, instead of to all these producers and whoever, might go directly to the artist. So Madonna puts out a song, I like to hear it, and so I pay 3 cents, and that just goes directly to her. So anyway, and that's what is the beauty of peer-to-peer. So there's no government, nobody could freeze your money, nobody can tax your money. In fact, it's anonymous. So nobody could recognize if you are having a taxable event. In effect, you could fund an entire war and it would be invisible to the government, because there's no record, no transaction record of you by name and your activities. So all taxable events are self-reported. I'll just use rabbit ears there, self-reported tax events. So you don't leave it to you to do it. So you can, where can you get, I'm sure is your next question, where can you get Bitcoin? Where can you get cryptocurrency? So you could get that today on PayPal, right on the home screen. In one click, you can get it. You can walk right into the this Easy Money Cash Exchange across from the hospital in Petoskey and use a Bitcoin ATM and buy it that way. And this is curious, and Coinbase, if you download the Coinbase app, that's what I use, and that's the biggest trader of cryptocurrency. So I just want to, before we get started on questions, I do this myself. Like, have you ever bought a $20 bill? No, right? We don't buy money. So why do you buy cryptocurrency? So right now, nobody's using cryptocurrency exactly. A few, you can buy a Tesla with Bitcoin, very few people using cryptocurrency as money right now. Right now, it's in a price discovery time, and people are investing in cryptocurrency so that I buy Bitcoin today at whatever, at any amount. You can buy $10 worth, and I encourage you to do that, because if you'll put $50 into anything and buy some cryptocurrency, that will give you skin in the game enough to stay involved with what's happening. And if you're like me and you watch NBC business news all day long, it's not just stocks and bonds anymore. 50% of that news is about cryptocurrency. So I'm encouraging you just to sort of get with the times. Don't let this be confusing to you. What's happening with cryptocurrency. It's going to just be a part of life. The train has left the station. Some people say that cryptocurrency is going to disappear altogether, and maybe they're right, but probably not. Decentralization has taken hold across the entire world, and there's so many benefits to it for so many people. Getting rid of banks altogether, for instance, and that will probably never happen. But anyway, you invest today. Say I buy $20 worth of Bitcoin. I'm doing that because I think that my $20 worth of Bitcoin, by the time people are spending money using cryptocurrency, is going to be worth $100. And I'll just tell you that lately Bitcoin was at $60,000 per coin. You don't have to buy a coin. You buy it in any amount you want. Was worth 60. Right now, it went down to 37,000. It's incredibly volatile. But a lot of people, a lot of very smart people think that Bitcoin will be at 75,000, $100,000 per coin at Christmas time, at this time next year. Bitcoin could easily go to $1 million per coin. So I'm not an investor advisor, but I'm just telling you that if you have a little bit of skin in the game, then every time the stuff comes up, you'll be a little bit more willing to listen to what's going on with the price of cryptocurrency. And so I'm going to end it there and take your questions, or you can talk to me offline about this stuff too. Can I stop sharing this? Here we go. Hi.
Hey, I want to thank Randy for jumping in there. So thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I know we're a little later. Of course, we know where to find Suzanne.
Sorry about that.
Suzanne, are you able to stop recording too? I'm not sure how to be the host, so I don't know if you can do that or not.
Please ask the host permission to record. No?
Oh, okay.
I think Andy. Oh, did Andy leave?
He said he had to hop off. Yeah. So I'm not sure.
Suzanne, I have a question. If I
Yeah.
wanted to buy some Bitcoin for my grandchildren, because I might not live long enough to enjoy the whole value of it,
Yeah.
how would I do that?
How would you buy Bitcoin for someone else? I suppose you would just help them buy it using PayPal or something and then reimburse them. I can't think of a way that I could send somebody money. Let me think about that, Jim. I'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good question. Okay, I know quite a few people had to head out, so thank you, Suzanne. That was a lot. Yeah. I can tell you're very knowledgeable in it. So if anybody does have questions in the future, we know where to go. So with that, guys, we'll see you next week, and we'll be on Zoom. I'm sure Randy probably said who's coming up. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next week.
Sorry again.
Bye.
Man.